Hello, I'm Meher Ali, and this is my new segment called The Lonely Goat Cafe. Here we explore immigrant life from a mental health perspective, specifically looking at the idea of loneliness, how people experience it, and how they find strategies to move through it. We explore how art, music, films, and literature can help immigrants, particularly those belonging to marginalized communities, find solace, resistance, and community. My guest today is poet and activist Dian Sousa. She's the author of 4 books of poetry. Her poems have appeared in numerous journals, including The Prairie Schooner, The Banyan Review, and Kelp Journal, among others. She has been nominated for 2 Pushcart Prizes. She is a San Luis Obispo Poet Laureate Emeritus and the poet for all 5 years of the San Luis Obispo Women's March. Her most recent book is Borracha Dreamland. Welcome, Dian.
Thank you, Meher. It's great to be here.
So I'm going to start by mentioning that in one of your emails to me, you wrote, I should let you know that my father immigrated from the Azores Islands and my mother's parents immigrated from Mexico. I'm a child of the trade routes, but I am not an immigrant. That in itself sounds like poetry to me.
Thank you.
But what does the word immigrant mean to you?
In a place like the United States, where everyone is an immigrant except for the indigenous people, I think it means that there are people around the world who are escaping poverty, escaping terror. And in the beginning, they came to America to live this dream that we put out there. America is a dreamland, which I talk about in my book, but it hasn't been that way. And being the daughter of immigrants, it meant, because I was hearing 2 different languages along with English, a third, so it meant that the world held all this possibility, that languages were magic and a way into other cultures. But I think that the idea of immigrant, what the word means to me, is a traveler to a different land where you can live and be and experience who you really are. Now, in America, I have always felt different because my parents were so different from the other parents on my block.
I loved your essay, Working Retail Drunk. I have so many favorite lines, but I'm going to read this one. It starts with this, quote, I am too old to work retail, and I know it will destroy me quicker than my missing tooth. But the ocean suggests I drink more and stop worrying. She will devour me first. I know this because I love the ocean every day, unrequited. And she tells me how small I am, how fragile, how she will break my teeth and bones to bits like ocean glass. Only not as pretty, not as moon-tinged. Wow. And I started thinking about writing and making money and how those feel like diametrically opposite things. So, Dian, can you share your thoughts on writing and working, but working in a capitalistic society? Does one write poetry or does one do a course on AI?
No, one does not do a course on AI. AI is out to kill us and rot our brains. When I was in college, I got my degree in English, and then I thought, well, I'll be a teacher, and I can write during the summer. But, if I wanted to be a great teacher, I would give that all of my time. And I knew that one just can't write in the summer because summer has too many offerings. It's sunny and warm and the water's warm. So I decided, which was a terrible idea, to just work basically terrible jobs so that it would not interfere with my writing. And unfortunately, my writing style that I am made to do is poetry, which really doesn't pay very much, maybe $48 every 6 months. I don't know. But yeah, it is absolutely capitalism's fault. You know, in Ireland, they subsidize their poets and their artists. America, maybe it's made for a grand poetry like Whitman and Bob Dylan and Joni Mitchell and all the great poets, but Theodore Rothke, but it isn't for your everyday people unless you go into academics, and I didn't want to become an academic because I think it would hurt the freeness of my writing. I mean, nothing against academics. I love my academic friends, but I think that it would have hurt me. I think that it would have weighed on my poetry because when I'm writing, I am completely free and there's no expectations and I don't have to publish. I don't have to do anything. So work stupid jobs and write as much poetry as I can.
You are Portuguese American. I read some of your poems and it feels like you have a strong connection to the sea. Does it serve as an important connection to your Portuguese roots, or can you share what the experience is like for you when you may perhaps be feeling alienated or isolated and trying to connect with your ancestors or a community?
Absolutely. So I have always, as long as I can remember, what my family did as a family was go to the ocean. My father, you know, the Azores is 1,000 miles out at sea. And my mother also loved the beach and the ocean. And we would go clam digging down in Long Beach. And also I learned to surf. And surfing is a whole another community. My whole family surfs. But just to be in the ocean, you are so small, and the ocean is such a power. And sometimes it's almost like she accepts you, and other times it's like she's just going to spit you out. Just get out of here. You cannot take my power today. You cannot withstand my power today. But if ever there is a cure for loneliness, it is absolutely the ocean, because you are completely immersed. She cradles you. She rocks you. And yeah, there's no substitute. I was just talking to a friend the other day, and we were both kind of ailing, and I said, well, you know, I went and dipped in, got the healing. So yeah, always mother, 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 ocean.
I'm actually scared of the sea, but I love looking at it. I love looking at it with longing. Like, can you not drown me? Then I will go in. But because I'm from a landlocked place here.
You're smart to be afraid of the ocean. She will drown you. But you should at least put your feet in. I used to teach surfing with some friends, and there were women. We would hold their hands. Some of them, we had to hold their hands and take them into the ocean and just stay with them until their fear subsided. You know, they wanted to be there, but, you know, that fear is profound and for a good reason.
Let's talk about your most recent book, Borracha Dreamland. And also, can you read something from us?
I would be happy to. Yeah, it just came out right before Christmas, and it was published by Serpent's Tongue Press in Ventura in conjunction with the Ventura Poetry Festival Arts Council, because they wanted me to be the keynote poet at their festival, and I couldn't be paid if I didn't have a new book out. So they said, well, let's just publish a book for you. And I said, okay. Wow. And borracha, I realized, you know, that's the feminine. In Spanish, it's the feminine of drunkard. And I think I've always, going back to what it means to be an immigrant or how it makes me feel, I've always felt a little drunk in America, like I didn't quite understand the mores. And my father certainly seemed drunk all the time, but he wasn't. He was just he was from an island 1,000 miles out at sea and did not know how to really, fit in, which was hilarious and fun and embarrassing for me. But I will read a poem that deals with being an immigrant. This one is about my grandmother, Josefina Ramos. She came from the Michoacan, and she and my grandfather, I don't know how they got here. I just know they would not get here now. So it's called Josefina from the Michoacan. Isn't the October sky made of satin? Don't the curves of the dead show through? A soft contour of elbow bends along the border of a cloud. It must belong to my grandmother, Josefina from the Michoacan. Josefina from the Michoacan made flour tortillas every single day, 20 times on Sunday. Her hands fluttered over the dough till birds flew. Not doves, dark birds, small and swift, sharp-beaked. They filled the kitchen, flittering along the rim of her cast-iron pan. She fried them in bacon fat. If I talk about you, Josefina, will you remember me? You had so many grandchildren. I know you liked the boys better. They were easy. They took your hugs and went outside. I went out too, but snuck back in, hid snail shells and snapdragons in your bed. Come the drafty edge of every December, I vandalized your nativity set, chipped the holy pout from baby Jesus, put his mother and her donkey in my pockets and ran. You came after me, cursing in a language crocheted with flames. It scared me, Josefina. It thrilled me. Josefina, I grew up to speak English like a machete, like a curandera, like a locksmith. I know word to open the mouth of every domestic god. I can make them say whatever I need to hear. I can make them cry. For this, I thank you. Josefina, you crossed into this language when it was mean. It is meaner now. It is incendiary, but does not thrill. Burns, but does not cleanse. Cuts, but does not cure. Josefina from the Michoacan, you wouldn't make it here today. They wouldn't even let you try. They would never let you speak. Josefina, forget about me. Stay where you are, if you are, or come back. Yes, come back. Come as a bird, dark of feather, small and swift. October's border is made of satin. Fly through it, but don't come back alone. Bring a flock. Fly down with blazing songs and sharpened beaks. And if you are not caught, not caged, Josefina from the Michoacan, I will weave you a nest woven from the pillowy mouths of snapdragons. And as you nod in sleep, sweetly will I sing, O Josefina from the Michoacan, O mi abuela, I am so sorry.
Wow. The last line really got me.
Oh, thank you.
And how important for the times that we are in. Yeah, and it's interesting that you're speaking to somebody who, even though they're so far away from you, like you're so intimately connected to them. I feel that way about my grandmother too. Thank you for sharing that, Diane.
Oh, you're welcome. And, we are connected to, especially the women, all the women in our lineage, as far back as we can remember, even further back. That knowledge passes on, that wisdom, and we can tap into it, I think. I try.
This is a question. What does loneliness mean to you?
I think just by, coming from three different worlds, the Portuguese, the Mexican, and American. That is fun, but it can get lonely when you're interacting with people who have no clue. They have just this one place, and they know how to be in this country. And being a poet by its nature is a little bit lonely because you have to spend time alone to write a poem. So I have always kind of embraced that loneliness. Dylan Thomas, in my art and sullen craft, I mean, you just accept that. You sign on the dotted line. You will be lonely now and again. But, to be there alone writing a poem, time goes away and you're not really here and you're just in a different space. Art does that. That's why it's so great. Art, I think, is the antidote to loneliness. It's the cause, one of the causes and one of the antidotes. And you just have to accept that.
Do you think loneliness is necessarily like a negative experience?
No, I don't. I think, when you're when you're painting or writing, you're not really lonely. So I think I misspoke there. You're not really lonely. You just have to be alone, which is different than loneliness. I think true loneliness is a lack of community and a lack of being able to feel love in your life. And I have not experienced that. I am fortunate to have so many people that I love and so many people who I am confident love me back. So to be that kind of lonely is a horrible isolation, I think, that humans are not made for.
In one of your interviews, you mentioned that you write a poem and then you record it and then you listen to it. I'm going to be doing that, so that was a great tip for me. But how do poems come to you?
I do not know. I just wait. I have a journal that I write in, not every day, but fairly often. I probably have a stack of 20-some of them now. But I just wait until a line or an image comes to me, and then I have no idea where it's going, but I feel absolutely compelled to go and write it down, because I think if I don't write it, because it's out there in the consciousness, and I heard it, and I'm going to write it down. If I don't write it down, someone else will, and then I'll probably get mad because they didn't do as good a job with it as I thought I could do. So I never force it. The poet Rilke said, a poem has to rise up through the blood. You cannot force it. And I never force it, and I never know what I'm writing about until I'm almost done, usually. I'm just following the thread of the line or the image.
What inspires you, or do you look for inspiration in some things?
I don't consciously look for inspiration. I think the world is such a large and magical place, and nature is so profound, and I don't look for it, but I keep my mind open to it. I keep my eyes open. I think, writing, and I'm also a terrible painter, but I paint anyway. I think that teaches you to really look at things. And if you look at things and you keep your mind as open as possible, things will creep in, and then you will turn them into your art. I'm never consciously seeking. Only one time have I tried to write a poem, to fit in a journal, and that made me feel stupid and dirty. I think that's not my voice. I think it's so important to let your voice develop in the way that it will, alone. Yeah, you've got to develop your voice and let it be, and then respect it. Respect where it's going to go.
So I loved your references to the sea and was inspired to write a poem. And I wanted to read it to you, if that's okay with you.
Oh, that's awesome. Yes, of course.
So it's called Being an American. Being an American means apportioning blame, saying sorry and but in the same sentence. It means living about 5 miles from the sea and not being able to afford to travel there because no car. It means going for long walks across the train tracks, listening to Kendrick Lamar, staring at a sun I cannot capture, and a natural beauty that is too stark, unhidden by dust. It means getting used to no sound, like I'm constantly wearing earmuffs. It means smiling at dogs I don't know and paying $6 for a cappuccino. So much of being an American is not being so many other things, but I can't really recall what these things are. Maybe being an American means letting go of memory. Maybe it means living my life through TV characters, leaving just enough emotion to course through me, that it keeps me alive but doesn't overpower me. I must not speak too loudly, I must not clown around. I long to see the sea and sit by the beach too, but I'll have to first walk through mall outlets, and I know I'll get lost and then find myself waiting for a bus home in that bright sun, my mouth open, teeth out, smiling politely.
Oh, I love that, Meher. That's beautiful.
Thank you.
It's so apt. That is what it is to be American. Smiling at dogs you don't know. 5 miles from the beach, but you don't have a car. Walking around like you're wearing earmuffs. That's, my God, that's totally true. Thank you for sharing it with me.
Thank you.
Just to conclude our interview, I wanted to ask if you could read another poem of yours.
Sure, I'd be happy to. The book is broken up into 3 sections of 2 nightmares and 1 lucid dream. Very first poem in the book is called Party Dress, Nightmare Number 1, and it starts with a epigram from Gloria Steinem. There are 6 million female lives lost in the world every year simply because they are female. Gloria Steinem, maybe you know, she was a Playboy bunny, and that's the dress I'm referring to. Party dress, nightmare number 1. I wake with sorrow and a broken scream trapped in my bones. Mama, I was invited to a party. At the party, they played a game. The rules were this. All the women were pinned down and sewn into identical dresses. Some of us smiled, but it hurt. And snared in identical dresses, we were posed for pictures in front of a wall lined with whitewashed flags and obscene Boy Scouts. The dress was electric, eat this and die pink, laced with flesh-barbed metallic threads, a heart-shaped peekaboo bodice, and a goddamn bunny tail. You could wear this dress in the desert, Mama, and burst like a blushing human Hindenburg. You could wear it in an elevator and conduct terrifying social experiments. You could wear it to time travel and be forced to dance on stage or be burned as a witch. Oh, Mama, I'm glad you weren't there, but I know you wore this kind of dress too. Maybe it didn't have a tail, but it bound you just the same.
I love how your poems are like conversations, either between people or between you and somebody else. And it's like you're in your mind, you're having this conversation and you're sharing both the things that occur to you, but also like what the other person may say or is saying.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, it's my conversation with the world. How I think about my poetry is that we're here on this plane and life wants a report. So this is my report back to life, to the luminous consciousness, wherever we came from. These are my reports. and I have to make them. So I think that's who the conversation is with.
Thank you so much, Diane, for joining us at the Lonely Goat Cafe.
Thank you, Meher. It was wonderful meeting you and hearing your poetry, and I can't wait to meet you in person and take
Same
you to the
here.
ocean. I have a car.
Oh.
That was poet and activist Dian Sousa speaking with me, Meher Ali, on the Lonely Goat Cafe.